Arnold Schwarzenegger had done an interview for The Insider, and he talked about bodybuilders being obsessed with being huge, and this could be the reason why we're seeing so many deaths in the industry. Also being obsessed with taking more and more drugs to get bigger and bigger, and obviously there is a level of truth to that. And Arnold is not against drugs, and he's not against steroids. I think people see a headline like that and they think, oh, Arnold is abandoned his roots. He used anabolics back in the day. Arnold is not against drugs. He's against using incredibly stupid amounts of drugs. He's against getting up to 380 pounds in the off season, being fat and putting all that strain on your heart. He's against, ruining physiques just for the sake of being the biggest guy out there. And I think that, and so Arnold is for health, and he's for symmetry, and he's for a beautiful bodybuilding sport. And that's what he's espousing out there. He's not saying, oh, don't do drugs, you got to be a vegan. People have misquoted him. He's probably one of the most taken out of context, celebrities out there, because he says extreme things because he wants to get people to take notice of what he's saying. And then they grab a hold of one little iota of what he said and they completely take it out of context. Arnold even said, bodybuilding is the hardest sport out there. And you know why it's the hardest sport? It's not that while you're doing your gym workout, it's the hardest sport. It's the hardest sport because it's 24/7, 7 days a week, 12 months a year, 365 days a year. It never stops. It's every single day if you want to be your best. That's why it's the hardest. It's the hardest because people cannot focus for that long. That's why there's not a lot of awesome, incredible, world-class bodybuilders, because it's just very hard to be that on the ball and that on schedule at all times every single day. I did it back in the day. I know. I was a machine. And you know what? There is a level of burnout, but when you love what you do, you can make those sacrifices and do it. If you don't really love bodybuilding, it will be a very, very hard battle for you. And I see a lot of guys, they compete once or twice and then they stop because they don't really like the process. And it's not, if you don't like the process, it's not comfortable. Now, as far as why we're losing people, or why people are having heart attacks, there is an absolute component of overuse of anabolics. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And there's also the fact that guys are too big. And I'm not saying too muscular. I'm saying too big. They weigh too much. Just because Dave Palumbo weighed 315 pounds at his biggest doesn't mean that you have to weigh 315 pounds, okay? Because if you're carrying 60 pounds of body fat and water on your body, okay, then you're really not 315, okay? You're a lot lighter. You're just blowing yourself up with unnecessary stress on your entire organ system. And if you do that much, much, much later into life than guys like, from my generation did, that's going to put even more strain on you. I stopped at 34 years old, A lot of other guys that I know stopped. Lee Haney stopped competing at I think it was 33. Dorian Yates, stopped relatively young as well. The big monster guys that don't stop are the guys that wind up dying.
E aí, rapaziada, uma pausa rápida nesse vídeo aqui para comentar sobre uma nova ferramenta que o YouTube liberou aqui pro canal. Se você é uma pessoa que gosta muito desse conteúdo que eu venho trazendo para vocês, se você curte muito o canal e quer apoiar cada vez mais esse canal para que eu possa continuar trazendo cada vez mais vídeos e com mais qualidade, com mais frequência aqui para vocês, o YouTube disponibilizou a ferramenta Valeu, que é uma ferramenta onde você basicamente pode doar ali a partir de R$2, ajudando a manter o canal vivo, fazendo com que eu possa trazer cada vez mais conteúdos para vocês, e principalmente esses vídeos de legendas, né, cara, ainda mais quando o vídeo é muito longo, acaba sendo um vídeo muito trabalhoso e que leva muito do meu tempo. Então, se você curte muito o canal e quer me ajudar, eu peço por favor que você ajude com uma pequena quantia aí de R$2, mesmo que seja, já vai, cara, me ajudar demais, você não sabe o quanto eu vou ficar feliz. É só mais uma forma de ajudar o canal a se manter vivo aqui. Se você não tem dinheiro para ajudar no momento, não tem problema nenhum também, só compartilhando, deixando o seu like aí, já tá me ajudando demais, e é isso aí. Muito obrigado.
yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad